Hello, my name is Bradley Eichelberger, and I am the PIPAP GIS Specialist Consultant for SPREP. And this is the second video that serves as supplemental material that complements the training on the Pacific Islands Protected Area Portal and Geographic Information Systems for Improved Protected Area Planning and Management workshop that was conducted in the year 2020. In this video, we will focus on building maps using QGIS. Specifically, we will open a previously saved project, bring the data into a new print layout, add various map components, and finally export the map as both PDF and image formats for use in reports and other presentations. So if you recall, when we first opened QGIS, the interface looks something like this. And what I want to do is actually open up the previously saved project from the supplementary video number 1. So I have two options to do so. The first option is to go up to the Project tab in the menu options and simply go to this Open tool. And when I click on that, it brings up a dialog box that lets us browse to where the projects are located. I can also get to this dialog box using the second option, which is to use the Open Project tool that's in the toolbars. So I'll go ahead and click on this. It opens up the dialog box. I can navigate to where the project was stored, select the project, and then open it. We should see the data that we added from the first supplementary video, along with the symbology and the labels that we created. Next, I'm going to create a new print layout, and there's two options to do this. One is to use the new print layout tool in the toolbars, or we can also go again to the project tab in the menu items and go down to new print layout. And once I select either one of these, I'm asked to create a title for our new print layout. In this case, I'm going to call it 2020 Vanuatu WDPA. And when I hit OK, a new window pops up. And this window is our new print layout. And this gives us access to a variety of options that lets us create a map that can be used for reporting purposes. The first thing I'm going to do is right-click on the blank area in the print layout. And when I do this, it gives me access to the page properties. This is important because it lets us set the page size for the map that we're going to create. And in this case, I'm going to change the page size to letter, which is the typical page size found in most printers. So I'm going to go up here and select letter. And you can see the dimensions changed on the screen. I can also change the orientation from landscape to portrait. In this case, I actually want to use landscape. Now that we have set the page size, I'm going to add the map content to the print layout. And I do this by going and selecting the Add a New Map to the Layout tool. I click it, and I will click and drag to draw a rectangle that will be used to display the data from the map canvas. And when I do so, we can see the data that's displayed in the map canvas is drawn onto the print layout. It is important to note that the data from the map canvas and the map window in the print layout are dynamically linked. So if I go back into the QGIS project and I zoom in to Afate Island and come back to the print layout and go to this properties section and then select set the map canvas extent, the view will update to match the extent in the map canvas from the project. In this case, I might go back to the project and zoom in a little tighter to the island. Once again, go back to the print layout and select set to map canvas extent. And I can keep playing with these settings until I get exactly how I want the map to be displayed. I can also resize the dimensions of the map in the print layout and move it around to however I see fit. You'll also notice that in this items legend for the print layout, we have our map 1, which is the map data frame that we just added. We can also relabel this by double clicking. We can call it whatever we want. So in this case, I'm going to call it Vanuatu map frame, so I can easily identify it within the print layout. We have a couple other tools that we're going to explore. So on the left-hand side, we have the pan tool, which lets us move around the layout. We have the zoom in tool, which lets us zoom in and out. We can also zoom back to the full extent by using this tool at the top of the map frame called Zoom Full. We also have this selection tool that lets us choose specific items within the print layout, such as the Vanuatu map frame. We have the Move Item Content tool, which lets us change the view within the map data frame. We have a Edit Nodes item, which lets us change the vertices for some of the features that we can draw in the print layout. We have the Add a New Map to the Layout tool that we just explored. We can add a three-dimensional map to the layout. There's a tool that lets us add pictures to the layout. There's another tool that lets us add text, or what we call labels, to the layout. We have a tool that lets us add a legend to help the map reader identify what the features are within the map data frame. We have a tool that lets us add a scale bar. And then we have various tools that lets us draw different shapes and arrows on the map, as well as include links to websites, or we can even actually add the attribute table from one of the feature classes into the print layout. Besides the data that's displayed in the map frame, every good map has 4 extra elements. The first element is a title, the second element is a north arrow, the third element is a legend, and lastly, we need a scale bar. So firstly, we're going to add a title, and we do that again by going to this Add a New Label to the Layout. And I'm going to draw a box to store our label. I can change the name of this label, and perhaps I want to call it Map Title. And if I go to the item properties for this map title, I can go in here and I can change the label. In this case, it'll be the title of the map. So since we're looking at the WDPA protected areas for Vanuatu, I'm going to call this Protected Areas for Vanuatu. And within the properties, I can change the font size, the color, the horizontal and vertical alignment, and several other options. In this case, what I want to do is go to font, and I'm going to change the font size to make it larger, and I'm going to make it 30 points. And I'm also going to change the color to maybe a dark blue, and set the horizontal alignment to center. And now I have added a title to our print layout. The next component I'm going to add is actually a logo for the BioPalma project. So I add this by going to add a new picture to the layout. I once again draw a rectangle. And when I do so, a picture item is added to our print layout. I'm going to once again change the name. In this case, it's going to be BioPalma logo. And in the item properties, I have a option to select or browse to where the image source is. In this case, I'm going to browse to my QGIS Training Vanuatu folder, subdirectory datasets, subdirectory logos, and here I have the BioPalma logo, and I'm going to simply click on it and then select OK. And a logo of all the project sponsors and partners are added to the print layout. I can also use this add picture tool to add in a north arrow. I do that again by drawing my rectangle to add the picture. Once again, I'm going to rename the item to match what it'll be used for. So in this case will be a north arrow. And if I go to the item properties, there's this search directories drop down. And if I choose this, it will show a little catalog of most commonly used images. And in here, I can select one of these north arrow options. As you can see, there are several. In this case, I'm just going to select this one. And now I have a north arrow added into the print layout. It might need a couple adjustments to resize the rectangle that we drew for the picture. The third component of the map that we need is a legend, and I can do that by going to the Add a New Legend to the Layout tool, selecting it, drawing a rectangle where I'd like my legend to display. And by default, the legend includes every data set that we can see on the map canvas. And at this point, again, it's dynamically linked to the map canvas in our project. So if I go back and I turn off the roads layer, you can see down here in the legend items that the roads layer is actually grayed out, but the name of the roads layer is still displayed in the legend. So I want to change this. I actually want to customize this legend and make it look much cleaner than it is right now. So the first thing I need to do is deselect this auto update option. And if I scroll down into the legend properties, there's a small subset of tools that lets us change the order of the data layers within the legend. We can delete unused names from the legend. We can also change the name of the layer within the legend. So for example, I want to remove the roads layer. I'm going to select the roads layer, and I'm going to go down here to this minus button, and when I click it, it takes the name of the roads layer out of the legend. Since I only care about really showing the protected areas for Vanuatu, I'm also going to go ahead and delete the satellite imagery from the legend. If I also go up and double click on any of the names for the data sets, for instance, this Vanuatu WDPA points layer, I can actually change the way the name of that data set is displayed in the legend. In this case, I'm just going to call it protected area points. And select OK. And you can see that the name is updated within the legend and the legend item properties. Since the purple polygon is not being used for any of the protected area designations, I'm actually going to use the minus button to get rid of that as well. And for me, this Vanuatu WDPA polygons layer name doesn't really add much to the legend. I can go up here, and if I right click, I can tell it to hide just the title of this data layer. Now you can see that there's just the protected areas points and the designations for the polygons that are displayed within the legend. The last thing I'm going to do is actually bring the protected area points above the polygons. And I do this by going to this little up button, and I make it displayed above the polygons within the legend. And as you can see, the legend is cleaner than it was when we first auto-generated it. And now I'm just going to recenter the legend within the print layout to make it look nicer. The final component that we need to make a good map is a scale bar, and we can add that using the Add Scale Bar tool. And when we select that, we can draw a rectangle to store where the scale bar is located. You should now see the scale bar on the print layout, its name added to the items legend for the print layout, and then our options displayed in the properties for the scale bar. The first option lets us link the scale bar to which map frame that we're currently displaying. Since we only have one map frame, it's going to be the actual Vanuatu map frame. And we have a variety of other options to help customize the scale bar, such as setting the width of each one of the segments in the scale bar to a certain unit. We can change the fonts and colors. If you notice right now in the print layout that the numbers are black, as well as some of the segments in the scale bar are black, and it really doesn't pop out in our print layout. So we can change this by first going to the font, and instead of black, I'm going to change it to white. And now you can see the numbers on the scale bar have changed to white, and they really stick out against the satellite imagery background. I can go to these fill color options. So the primary fill color, instead of black, maybe I want to change it to yellow to make it really show again against the satellite imagery background. And when I do that, you can see it change in the scale bar. But I can also go back up here and change the segment unit width. And maybe I don't like that it's only 7.5 kilometers. I want to make that more of a nice rounded number. So I'm going to change that to 10. Now the scale bar segments are each 10 kilometers long. And lastly, I'm going to go back and actually adjust how the scale bar is displayed within the print layout. And now that we have added all the key components to making a map, we're going to go up and select the Save Project tool. And the only thing left for us to do is actually export it out as an image or a PDF. And both those tools are located at the top of the screen. So here we have a export as image tool, and if we click on that, it brings up a dialog box that lets us navigate to where we want to export the map to. In this case, I'm just going to call it 2020 Vanuatu WDPA and save it as a JPEG, although there are other formats that you could actually save the map as. And I click Save. A few export options show up. I'm just actually going to use the defaults. So 300 dpi should be a very high resolution for printing, especially for this page size. If I hit Save, a little message displays at the top that lets me know that it successfully exported the map to the JPEG. I can do the same for PDFs. So if I go up to this export as a PDF tool and click that, once again, a dialog box opens up that lets me navigate to the folder where I want to save the PDF. In this case, again, I'm just going to call it 2020 Vanuatu WDPA and select Save. Once again, there's a couple export options, but in this case, I'm just going to use the defaults. Go ahead and say Save. And a message shows up at the top of the screen that lets me know that it's successfully exported. So now if I navigate to the directory where I exported the map to, I should be able to see that there's a JPEG file and a PDF file of the maps, and then when I click on them, I will have an exact copy of what we just produced within QGIS. And that will conclude the second supplementary video on how to produce maps in QGIS. To summarize, we opened a previously saved project. We created a new print layout to store our map. We added our map canvas to the print layout. We added the Biopama logo at the bottom of the screen, and we also added the 4 key components for making a good map, which includes a map title, a north arrow, a legend, and a scale bar. In our third and final video, we will look at how to create a polygon layer using points collected from the field, such as from a GPS unit.